What's going on, guys? This is me in the bottom left, Globe Man. You may not have seen me before, that's okay, but you guys might recognize this guy right here, and his name is Nathan Oakley. And if we just look closely right here, we can see that on his YouTube channel, he ended up responding to one of my TikTok videos, and he's asked me to reply. Not very nicely, let me add, but he did ask me to reply, so I plan on doing that in this video here. Now, for anyone who doesn't already know, I do have a TikTok, like I said. I've just recently hit 70,000 followers, so if you guys want to come over and follow me, I would really appreciate it. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started and hear what Mr. Oakley has to say.
And hopefully, even though we're going in blind, we'll get an idea of what this dude thinks in regards to debunking flat Earth. Not a possibility, but we'll see how he gets on.
And just like that, you're showing where you lie upon this graph, my friend, because you have already decided what your conclusion is before you've heard a single word I have to say. But that's all irrelevant. Let's go ahead and hear what you had to say about sunsets. I'm going to give you my top 5 reasons that I know for a fact that the Earth is a globe. And to keep it simple, we're going to go ahead and start with sunsets. Now, obviously, on a curved surface of the Earth, you can only see so far on the ground because, well...
Okay, so... Now you go, Brian.
Yeah, sunsets, even within the globe model, officially, there is no such thing as a... Excuse me. There's no such thing as a physical sun going down behind the physical horizon. The horizon in the globe model is officially a refracted position, so it's not physical.
So I agree that refraction does exist because we're looking through the atmosphere, and according to Snell's law, light is going to be bent towards the more dense medium, which is obviously going to be towards the surface because we have a pressure gradient. But keep in mind, that also is going to apply to the horizon. The light from the horizon is going to be bent towards the surface, meaning that we will be able to see further because that object will appear higher. This in no way changes my point at all. The sun still disappears behind a physical obstruction. Just because the physical obstruction has been refracted into a different position does not change the fact that it is a physical obstruction. And no matter how you slice it, this sun is disappearing behind something, and just yelling perspective isn't going to save you.
What a sunset actually is the meeting of two optical phenomena, and that's official within the globe heliocentric model.
Again, light is bent towards the more dense medium, meaning that it's going to bend towards the surface, which does not work for a flat Earth. The reason that doesn't work is because if you wanted things to disappear from bottom to top, you would need the light to refract towards the less dense medium, which we do not see occurring. But I think we've harped on this point enough. Let's go ahead and move on to the next thing you have to say.
Okay, let's just go to his diagram. So in his diagram, what he's got is the side view of the horizon marked as a single point. So for the audience's benefit, you can see where I'm pointing on the screen. He's almost pointing at the same point. Okay, when do we get this view? When do we see us over here on the left, a physical geometric sphere edge labeled horizon, and the target on the right? When do we ever get this view?
Well, here's a good example right here, looking at these windmills that are out in the distance, but something tells me you don't like this. So let's instead look at this one by Dazza the cameraman. Now we can see here that I'm pointing to this ship that's in the back, and we can see that it's covered by the horizon. There is nothing else that could possibly obstruct this ship, other than the Earth itself.
Now by scale, if you look at this depiction of an Earth curve in a Muppet Vision seeing the side of your own head view, we've got about, I'm going to call it 5,000 miles of Earth represented here because you've got a visible curvature to it in this diagram. Now, why would it be that if you've got let's say, a sheep or a cow, you've got a cow that's right next to you that you're holding, that's a toy cow, and out the window, let's call it 500 feet away, you've got quite a small cow that's about the same size as the cow you're holding. Okay, now let's say that cow is, as per this scale, about 4,000 miles away. Could there be any other reason why that cow, that's about the same size, relatively speaking, as the one you're holding that's a toy, could have disappeared at 5,000 miles? Could there be any other reason?
Now let me just start out by saying that might have been the worst analogy I think I've ever heard in my entire life. Furthermore, I don't know why you're harping on the scale of this when it's just to show how the principle works. Obviously, I didn't draw this to scale. As a matter of fact, I didn't even draw it. It's just a screenshot that I got from the walter.bislins Earth curvature calculator. But to answer your question, it doesn't matter how far away this cow is. The only way we're going to be able to see it is if we're high enough so that the horizon is not actually obstructing it. Now, of course, you could say it looks really small because it's far away, but that does not mean that it's obstructed. Now we can look here. The only way we're going to be able to see the cow is if it's within that visible range. And obviously the cow will be hidden if it's too far away and is not within that visible range. This is really simple stuff to understand.
Could it have got too small to see? Well, no, not in earth curve maths. Because the cow in this example on screen will not only be shown with you seeing the side of your own head and a horizon that's a single point, but the cow will remain 4 feet high, and that value will not change at any distance. In other words, if this curve wasn't here marked with horizon, and you had the cow here, and the person here, and I wrote 1 million miles between the two, there'd be no reason why you couldn't see it in this representation.
Spot on, Nathan. That's exactly what we would expect. As long as there's nothing to physically obstruct the object and the object itself is bright enough to be seen, then we'll be able to see it. And as for your other point where you think things are just so far away that they're too small to be seen, this video again by Dazza the cameraman shows that you are incorrect. Now if you just look behind me, you can see that the ship which I have a finger pointing to is obstructed by the curvature. So let's see what happens when we zoom in on it.
Now I am focusing in on the ship on the middle, but I will pan across to the left in just a moment. So here is another clearer opportunity to get a screenshot of this ship here as I'm zooming in. And I'm going to zoom past it and then I'm going to pan to the left. There we go. Are we seeing any more of that ship as I'm zooming in to the full 125 times optical zoom? No, the amount of ship that is visible above the horizon is exactly the same proportion as when I was zoomed out.
Now if we just look at this one over here on the left, that's going to be the zoomed out screenshot, and the one on the right is going to be the one when it was zoomed in. No more of the ship has become visible by zooming, meaning that it could not have been that it's just too small to see.
In fact, the only reason this assertion with this maths gives for the cow disappearing at approximately 4,000 miles by scale is the Earth curve inside profile got in the way. So it ignores all aspects of the thing that's getting further away, getting smaller and smaller and smaller to the vanishing point. Yeah, that's not included in this maths.
You're right, it's not included because it doesn't need to be. And even if I did include it, it doesn't help your case at all. Let me show you why. Now here's a picture I'm sure you're familiar with. It's Lake Pontchartrain and the power lines going across it on the west side. Now what we can see is that if I take the vanishing points from that, they seem to converge above the horizon. Now the reason for that is because the horizon is actually dipping downwards and away from you. That's called a horizon dip angle, which here we can see is actually noticeable. But I know just one example isn't going to be good enough for you, so we're going to go ahead and watch a video by another TikTok creator who goes by the name of Disrespectfully Disagree. Now on the screen you should be able to see his name. If you guys want to go to TikTok and support, I would definitely recommend it. He posts a lot of good content that debunks pancake land, and I couldn't recommend it more. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and watch this video. Now I hope we all enjoyed that video. Again, Disrespectfully Disagree is the account that posted it. I definitely recommend going and checking them out. But now after watching that video, we can all see that vanishing points do not work on a flat Earth. They always converge above the horizon, meaning that the Earth must be dipping downwards and away from you. So now that we've thoroughly debunked your talking point, let's go ahead and move on. And as the Earth rotates, of course it's going to go from visible to hidden. No duh.
Alright, well, we debunked the physical geometric sphere edge horizon to block the sun back in 2020. If the Earth was a sphere with a radius of 3959, then every distance to horizon measurement could be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. That's the mathematics he just laid out for you, the ladies and gentlemen that watch this video.
Hooray!
On his TikTok channel or here today. Now, the distance to the horizon in the Black Swan is beyond the geometric limitations of an Earth sphere radius 3959. Therefore, the horizon is not Earth curve and the Earth is not a sphere.
Now, for anyone wondering what he's talking about when he says Black Swan, he's talking about this picture right here on the left. And his claim is that if the Earth were truly an oblate spheroid, that we should not be able to see as far as this picture is showing. But most days what you'll actually see is something more like this. So now we need to ask ourselves, what are the main differences between these two pictures? Now, obviously, the one on the left is heavily distorted. We can just see that by looking at it. I mean, look at this crane, look at this crane. I mean, it's pretty obvious. But if we look over here, on a normal day, we don't have that kind of distortion. There's not nearly as much refraction. So now I've gone to the Walter Bislin's Advanced Earth Curvature Calculator website. What we can see here is that he has actually simulated the amounts of refraction that they would have been seeing on the date that the Black Swan was taken. Now, the reason they were observing this kind of refraction was due to something called a temperature inversion. And right here we can see from University of British Columbia, light bends down towards the denser air, but because our eyes assume light we see travels straight, the object we are seeing appears higher than it actually is. Therefore, we see the image, or inversions of it, above where it actually is. And the reason I bring up the simulation behind me is because what Walter Bislin has done is essentially made a temperature inversion simulation. And these values behind me are just going to show one of the many possible combinations of temperatures that could have caused this kind of refraction. Now, of course, we don't have the exact values from when the Black Swan was taken, but like I said, this is going to be one of many different combinations that can work. If anyone is interested in checking the math, I'll go ahead and leave the website down in the description for anyone to go check out.
We debunk this Earth curve edge. I mean, you may think the sun's falling over the edge of Earth as you rotate backwards away from it. You might think that boats are falling over edges of Earth curve when you see a side view mathematics that you will never ever experience. But we're not. We've debunked it.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Now, unfortunately, his video continues a lot longer, so I'm going to have to make another part for this. But for everyone who's stuck around, I really do appreciate it. Again, I hope you guys follow me on TikTok. I have a lot of content there, and I'm trying to break 100,000, so I would really appreciate it. But hey, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys liked the video, and well, we'll get back to debunking this here soon. But like I said, I'll catch you guys in part 2. Have a good one.